Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me and everything is working for you and your connection. Thank you so much for coming to our first OMSCS Digital Career Seminar. I may have met some of you in person at events or conferences, but if not, I'm Brittany Aiello, and I manage communications for the OMSCS program. So a little background before we get going on this seminar. We've just started promoting it in the last few weeks, but it's a really exciting concept that sprang from the same vein that prompted the creation of the OMSCS program in the first place. We believe that online students at Georgia Tech can and should have an accessible, affordable, top-tier educational experience. And we see career resources like this seminar as another way to help every student in our community succeed. So, speaking of students in our community, I am thrilled to share the stage tonight with Eboni Bell. She is a current OMSCS student and a lead e-commerce manager at AT&T. But before we get going, we're going to show a less than 1 minute clip about Shindig, this awesome platform that we're using, just so that you become a little bit more familiar with it. And I think we're going to cue that, and then we'll bring Eboni up.
Welcome to Shindig, the video chat event provider. Click on any participant's image to engage in a private video chat. Double-click on another participant to add them to your existing conversation. Click the arrow to exit. You can also send an instant message, either to an individual or to your entire room. Want to interact with the host? Use the buttons on the lower right. Click Raise Hand to signal to the event administrator that you want to be brought on stage. Otherwise, submit a question to the host via text. If the system has not automatically detected your webcam and microphone, roll over your image and click Settings. Click your image to enable your working webcam. Choose a working microphone by selecting the option with volume indicators that flash green in response to your voice. We hope this was helpful. Enjoy the event.
All right, so that was just a couple of seconds about Shindig, and now I'm going to share a little bit with you about Eboni. So Eboni and I first got to know each other when she was asked to be the star, if you aren't familiar, with Udacity's orientation videos. Eboni and David Joyner co-hosted these videos, and we're actually going to share a little clip with you in case you haven't seen that.
As you probably know, the Georgia Tech OMSCS program is developed in partnership with Udacity. All the course lecture materials, as well as interactive exercises and some projects, are available through Udacity.com. Some classes put additional information like syllabi, calendars, and assignment information on Udacity.com too. In many ways, Udacity is like the textbook for the courses you're taking. So, we'll talk about accessing course materials through Udacity, the kinds of materials you should expect to find, and some of the interactive elements provided through Udacity.
Hey.
Yes. So now you get to meet her via video instead of via clip. But yeah, like I was saying, if you want to watch the clips of Eboni and David talking about the program, walking you through, if you're a prospective student who is interested or what have you, there's all sorts of resources on the Udacity website featuring the wonderful Eboni to guide you as you're new to the program or if you're interested in the program. So welcome, Eboni. We are so happy to have you here. You are how far into the OMSCS program now?
Pretty far now. I'll be graduating in the fall, actually, so I'm really excited about that.
That's really exciting. I'm sure there are a few soon-to-be graduates as well in the audience that can relate to a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight. So basically, to get started, I would love, Eboni, if you could share with the room of wonderful students and prospective students a little bit about yourself, your work, your educational background, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Ebony Go, guys. I'm a current student, graduated in the fall, really excited about it, with a specialization in interactive intelligence. I graduated from Spelman College. It's an all-women's college right across the street from Morehouse, and all-men's college. here in Atlanta. There I studied and I majored in international studies, but I minored in computer science just in case I didn't get a job in foreign policy or international development once I graduated, which I'm really happy I did because I was able to secure a job as a front-end web developer at AT&T, and that completely changed my entire career trajectory and really instilled this new passion within me. And then right now, I currently work at AT&T, as Brittany said, as a lead e-commerce manager, which is another title for saying I'm a product manager. And there, I manage the discovery, design, the development, the overall deployment of a number of flows for att.com.
That's awesome. So where did the transition happen for you from, just working for AT&T to wanting to apply to OMSCS? How does that fit into your career aspirations and trajectory?
Well, Brittany, I always knew I wanted to go back to school for my master's. I just didn't know in what. I also knew I didn't want any more student loan debt. I had taken out enough student loans from being at a private institution. I also knew I wanted to continue working. I wanted to continue learning. And I wanted to make sure that I attended a graduate school that would just challenge me beyond my, what I'm used to being challenged in. And so when my leadership at AT&T presented me with the opportunity, or really the information about, taking the next step and going back to school and looking at, other opportunities to further my education and to further my career in general, I knew, this program was the right one for me because it offered flexibility, and then it was also challenging, and then let alone it was affordable. I didn't have to take out any student loans. I was thankful that AT&T provided me this idea of being reimbursed for the classes that I took here.
What have you, as you've done this, and this is a question that prospective students always ask and bring up, as you've done the full-time working, a very demanding career, also a very demanding degree program, what does that look like for you? How has that impacted both your career and your time that you've been able to dedicate to the OMSCS program?
Yeah, so when I first, as far as my dreams and what I all wanted to achieve while being in the program, I knew that the possibilities were limitless. I wanted to really go into the program, learn some things, take it back to my team, and then implement it, and then provide the best experience to our customers at the end of the day. Not only that, but I wanted to be responsible for a team from beginning to end. I wanted to make sure that, again, whatever we presented was a reflection of how great the team was and how, excited we were about delivering a great experience to our customers. And so a lot of that times that comes with balancing work and studies. And so I like to say my life is pretty well balanced. I go to work every day, 9 to 6, try and get some gym and dinner in between, and then come home and do some studying, and then maybe study until about 1 o'clock in the morning. But, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear from our students, and that's something we're going to explore as we continue on in this series and speak to different students about their careers, that balance and trying to figure out what that looks like in your daily life. And so I always love asking our students about that. Could you talk about tips and tricks, things that have been helpful for you in managing everything? I mean,
yeah,
the nitty-gritty of how you organize to larger.
Right. So tips and tricks. Honestly, I would say really the best tip that helped me throughout this program was understanding why I'm doing this. So I know at the beginning, after my second semester, I struggled with why. I found myself just burnt out. I felt like I couldn't hang out with my friends as much as I wanted. I was 24 in the program when I first started, really after that second semester. And I felt like I couldn't hang out with my friends as much as I wanted. I felt like I couldn't travel as much as I wanted to. And I realized I had to take a step back and just understand, why am I doing this? And so in the end, I came to the conclusion that I was sacrificing now in exchange for something greater in return. And so once I figured that out, I was all in. There was no more complaining on my end. I was fired up, and I couldn't wait to achieve that why. So that's the best tip I can offer you guys. Just figuring out what drives you and why you're really doing this program. Don't just do it because you want that next promotion, because if you don't get that next promotion, then what, or don't just do it because you get that promotion and then you're not satisfied with what you have, you want more. So just figuring that out, and then all of that will just drive you forward and through all the hard, long hours that you'll have to endure with every semester.
Yeah, and those are great words of encouragement. I think it's important for our students to hear, especially maybe students who are halfway through or in the middle of the grind of everything. I think it's important to be able to take a step back and think about why you're doing what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve, which is one of the reasons we wanted to open up this forum. And before we keep going, I just wanted to mention, if anyone in the audience has questions, comments, thoughts, you can use the icons at the bottom and you can share them. And then at the end, we're going to revisit some of those and open it up to a community discussion about some of these things, because we want to hear from you as well. Yeah, and you can raise your hand with the little hand icon, and we'll bring you on stage and all of that good stuff, and it'll be really interactive. So as we continue, feel free to go ahead and send some thoughts or raise your hand, and we'll definitely get to you. So continuing on, let's talk about the nitty gritty. How has OMSCS and the classes you've taken, the connections you've made, the professors that you've worked with maybe, or the other students, how have those things specifically helped to kind of launch you in the direction that you're wanting to go with your career?
Yeah, definitely. So this program really has led to a lot of exposure for me, which is really great. I never imagined, this idea of being exposed to as much as I've been exposed to. So it's really good. And AT&T right now is pivoting towards a more software-defined company, and they will be there by 2020. So there's a lot of push to start retooling the employees and really just changing the overall way we do business. Therefore, as a woman of color in a field typically dominated by majority white men, I get a lot of exposure. And so people are able to see that, I'm just as capable, working in a field of technology as anyone else. So I'm able to move vertically within the company and then take on a lot of high visibility projects. And then a lot of the times I get to do opportunities like this, and then opportunities. Well, I know Brittany, just meeting with Brittany and being a part of the orientation series and making sure that you guys have what you have in order to be well prepared for this program. So it's been awesome.
And I think that, students ask in our community, how do I get plugged in? Where? And we're, this is a new program. Everyone who is in this program understands we're young, we're new, we're, a few years in, we're figuring this thing out. And, just like with this seminar series, we're trying something new, hoping to create a new avenue for connection for people. But we love to hear your ideas too, our community. And we love for you to reach out to us, say, I would love to, start a group. We had the group Nerdy Bones that, Tia Pope and Bobby Iker started, when they first jumped into the program for women in OMSCS, and they created an official student group. And we did everything we could to help support them in their efforts. And so, just like Ebony's saying, we're the program staff, we want you to succeed, and we want to try new things and figure it out with you. And so, if you have ideas, send them to me, to anyone on our staff. We would love to, or maybe Ebony can provide some advice, or, any students who have already graduated from the program. That connection is something that we really want to foster within the program. And so what sort of, let's talk specifically about the other students in the program. What kind of networking avenues did you see, over the course of your time in the program? How did you see students sort of utilizing their connections with each other to help them succeed in their careers?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So besides the fact that within the group, within the classrooms, you're being put into group projects with people who are working all across the country in all kinds of fields. Use that to your advantage. Network with these people. A lot of the times you make great connections, form great relationships, exchange numbers, or even, connect with them on Google Hangouts. You're interacting with them to get the project done. Continue to follow up with them after that. I found out, some of my good friends still within the program that I've met from my very first semester, we still keep in contact. So if ever I'm out in LA or if I'm out in Houston, I make sure to connect with them and meet with them in person. So it's awesome just realizing that you have a huge network here, right? Like soon as you enter the classroom on Piazza. So definitely connected with them, reach out to them. And another thing that I would just say, just within your jobs, one thing that really helped me was joining an employee resource group within AT&T. And I know, other companies might call it something different, but it's really like those nonprofit organizations that you volunteer with. So a lot of those I joined in the very beginning. And so I was able to network with people from all over the business. And I know that, if I ever needed a job, ever needed any kind of advice, I could always call on some of these people and they could point me into the right direction. So definitely take advantage of that. Not to mention, LinkedIn. And if you're in Atlanta, take advantage of some of the career fairs at Georgia Tech. Come to those. Those are extremely great. So I've known quite a few people who have gotten some really good jobs by just coming to the career fair, submitting their resume, and then having a follow-up interview on campus. So, if you're not in Atlanta, make your way down to Atlanta and check it out.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, every year the College of Computing sends a large group of students to both Tapia, Celebration of Diversity in Computing, and Grace Hopper, Celebration of Women in Computing. We help provide some funding to get students, to get their tickets to attend the conference. And it is an amazing networking opportunity, both with your fellow students, but also with a larger, there's a huge career fair. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of companies that show up. And so it's a one-of-a-kind experience and opportunity. So those sorts of things are, we want you to take advantage of them, and they could really do a lot. And actually, it looks like we have a text question from, from somebody. It says, I'm following this program a bit early. I'm entering my sophomore year, I'm assuming in undergrad, for CS. I'm interested in machine learning. What are your views on machine learning and other topics you learned for AT&T? This is directed at Ebony.
So what are my views on machine learning? Machine learning is one of those things. I took the class. Are you specifically talking about the machine learning class, or are you talking about the topic at whole? Can I chat with them? Is that possible?
Yeah, it seems like, I think this is coming from Matt, and it seems like it's about the topic in general is what
okay. About the topic in general. So this idea of there's so much data that's out there, and we really need to take a step back and figure out, how can we use this data to the best of our advantage? And even at AT&T, we have a huge organization dedicated to looking at the data that we have, through our website and following and tracking. Oh, I wouldn't say tracking, but, just following patterns of different customers and trying to figure out how can we best utilize that data to support our customers and give them exactly what they want. Market to them in a way where it doesn't feel like spam when we're sending them ads, but it feels like something where, it's valuable. Like it's something that they could definitely benefit from. And so we're using that data. We're using a lot of that within our website. So if you want to reach out to me or have any further questions about coming over to AT&T and working in machine learning as a data analyst, definitely reach out to me.
Awesome. Yeah, and please keep the questions coming. Anything that having to do with, things as specific as machine learning or general career questions, we would love to chat about some of those. But until we do get a few more, I have a few more questions for Ebony. So this is a little bit of a contentious one, so feel free to defer if you don't want to, but we often hear folks, particularly prospective students, but definitely students who are currently in the program, when they start to think about changing companies or looking for new jobs, ask if they feel that these companies like an AT&T or could be anyone, if they weigh the OMSCS degree similarly or the same as an on-campus MS degree. Have you run into that question, or what are your thoughts on that?
The funny thing is I actually haven't. I mean, I think because AT&T was one of the major or a big contributor to the OMSCS program, they view it as the exact same. They see it as it's the exact same curriculum, the exact same professors. It's just different. It's just delivered on a different platform. And so they see it, they see it the same way. But I can't speak for every company. I just know what AT&T thinks. And so you get a degree from Georgia Tech, that means something. It takes you a very long way here.
Yeah, I think I've heard similar from some of the other companies that work with Georgia Tech and are at Career Fair. I've asked them that question, and I hear a similar answer. I think, the program has definitely established a reputation for producing quality students. And so I think employers are taking note of that.
I think, Brittany, even the fact that it's delivered through Udacity, that's a huge thing too. A lot of people here at AT&T go in and get Nano degrees. And for those who aren't familiar with those, it's like you specialize and you learn one particular subject for the next 9 months. And then after, graduating from that program, or you receive some sort of certificate, and it's a Nano degree. And even that, for people who decide that now they want to move away from information security and go into data analysts or machine learning or something like that, they're able to use that Nano degree and pivot to another role. So I definitely see that happening a lot here within AT&T, and I'm excited about that. Honestly, that's revolutionary in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is kind of a future looking question for you. What are your sort of future goals, if you wouldn't mind sharing them? And how are you kind of working and utilizing this program to tackle those goals and kind of keep moving forward? What about OMSCS is helping you do that?
Yeah, definitely. So, one of my future goals really is to start my own software development company. I'm very passionate about using technology to help others, in the sense of not just, helping people, build a website or build an application, but truly creating websites and applications that are, solving some of the world's problems and tackling some of the epidemics that we face within the healthcare industry. And even so much as like epidemics like obesity. So those are some of the things that I'm really interested in doing. And I'm interested to see how I can use artificial intelligence and social cognition to deliver really the basis of the company.
Hear that, everyone? Keep in touch with Ebony. If you want a job in the future. Anyways, we have another question on a more serious note. Mike has asked, with such a large number of students, how do the one-on-one connections you mentioned emerge? What are some ways for that to happen? That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I said before, in some of the classes that you'll take, like specifically the software development class, trying to think of a couple of others, the human-computer interactions class, there's ways in which the professor will put you in groups, assign you in groups based on your interests and based on some of your skill sets and expertise. And you'll be able to work with people, you know, like I said, from different companies around the world. And it's awesome. So you'll be put in groups of maybe 5, no more than 5 usually. And then you'll be working on these like intense projects, you know, for sure the next 5 weeks. So on top of that, you're developing relationships with these people that you're meeting. And then there's also opportunities for you to develop a close one-on-one relationship with some of those people within your group. So even just, again, like just setting out some time to send them a text message or connect with them on Google Chat or connect with them on LinkedIn. There's so many ways in which you're able to do that. So I would suggest starting first within your group projects, and then moving on from there.
All right, the questions are rolling in now. So the next one we have is from Eve. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, Bell. What course did you like the most in the program and why?
So the course that I liked the most in this program was Education Technology. And that was a course by David Joyner. He led that course. And I enjoyed the course really because it created this idea of going at your own pace, you know, in the sense of you choose the route that you want to take this project on. And so at the very end, probably about 6 weeks, we had really an independent study project where we could choose our topic in the field of education, technology, and we could, you know, we deliver that project, we pitch it, and then we figure out the timelines, the sort of roadmap that we want to take, how we want to deliver it, whether we want to deliver it through an app or a website, whatever the case is, how you want it to deliver it. And then, you know, you set your own dates. You say when you're going to deliver this project. And so to me, it was important because it allowed me to be in control. It wasn't so much as the professor says, you do this, you do that, and it's something that I'm not really interested in. As long as I created a plan, he approved that plan. We spoke back and forth about the different plan, you know, about where there's little tweaks that I could make to make it better, to make it more of a robust project. And then I went out and I implemented it. And in the end, you know, I got a grade that, you know, I really enjoyed. I mean, it was an awesome project.
That's great. Yeah, that class, we hear all sorts of awesome things about that class and the projects that people pull together for it. So our next question is from Gaurav, and it's, does Georgia Tech hold any events to help OMSCS students network? I do see some local events in the San Francisco Bay Area, but it would be great if there was an event to bring together at least the students in the US. So this is kind of a question for me as well, since I usually manage said events. We try to hold, you know, an event or two every year, whether that's on Georgia Tech campus. You know, every fall and spring semester, we do have a party for graduating students. But for people that aren't graduating, we typically go to several conferences as a program throughout the year. We have a booth. We'll have some sort of get-together party. You know, last year we were in Houston for Tapia, and then we were also in Austin for South by Southwest. This year, we're going to be in Orlando for Grace Hopper, and we're going to be in Atlanta. It just happens to be that Tapia is in Atlanta in a few weeks. So we are actually in process of putting together an event for Atlanta area students or anyone coming to town for Tapia on Georgia Tech campus. So, you know, we kind of have to play it year by year just to see, you know, how conferences unfold and all of that. But we really do try to have a couple of events every year that we organize for the students to bring together a large community of folks. And then also the independent groups. I know there's an Atlanta Google Plus group, and I know that they plan things. If you're a part of that, it's always great to check in on your city or region. You know, if you're not in a major city like in New York, San Francisco, Bay Area, Atlanta, you know, you might have a regional Google Plus community, and these are all student maintained, and the students actually organize events. I just received a few weeks ago a photo from a meetup that a Google Plus India group had coordinated, and they all met up, and which was really neat to see. And so that kind of thing is happening all over the world. And also, if you want any assistance in organizing something like that, if you're interested in it, we would love to hear from you, and would love to help however we can to connect you with the right folks and what have you. So I hope that's helpful, and that's what you were asking. Let's see, another text question. How were you able, Ebony, to transition into product management?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So as I told you before, I transitioned from front-end web development to product management, and that was solely because of, I had a great supervisor who believed in me. A lot of the time I was given projects and I was told, go develop this, go develop that. But I was like, this experience isn't that great. And I would question the experience, and I would always be that person like, well, why do we have to do this? Well, have we thought about doing this? Or have we thought about this huge implementation changing the entire experience, and customers coming in really confused? So it started with that. And then it started by, and then the next phase that I took was starting to quote unquote shadow other product managers. So I started doing that. I wanted to know the day-to-day basis of what it means to be a product manager. How do you define the vision of a product? And then how do you lead a cross-functional team to actually implement that? And then trying to figure out what the numbers are, understanding the market. Is the market even ready for this? And so then I started pitching new ideas to my current supervisor. I started, specifically, I would go to hackathons and I would, look at different ideas, and I'd be like, oh my goodness, these are things that we could be doing at AT&T. And so from there, I just remember reaching out to my boss, and I was like, hey, have you ever thought about, transitioning me over to product management? And, and then from there, that's how it happened. But I think just being bold and just being willing to research everything about the field, and questioning, making really big questions as a developer, and questioning the experience will definitely get you there.
Yeah, and our next question is somewhat similar. Joe is wanting to know how the knowledge you gained in the program is directly applicable to your current job.
So the knowledge that here, specifically, there's not all classes deal with what I'm working with in my job, but there are quite a few. So there's information security classes. We deal with that all day, every day. Making sure that certain fields within the website, for input validation, are not vulnerable, so that someone can come in and hack into our system. There's other classes like creating a good experience. So the human-computer interactions class is definitely applicable in this case. So making sure that, we go through the process, vet the experience out, make sure we plan and test it with our users before we deploy it. And I could go on and on. There's so many different classes. The machine learning one, for example, looking at data and making sure that we understand who our customers are. And then figuring out how can we plot that data. So it's quite a few.
Do we have any questions from anybody else? I know that a few folks have raised their hands. If you raise your hand and you don't have a webcam on, it would be awesome if you could send a text question. But if you do want to come up on stage and ask your question, if you have a webcam on, you can raise your hand and we can do that as well. Let's see what else we're getting. Joe is, we already answered Joe's question about the knowledge being directly applicable to the job. So we talked about that one already. Let's see what else we have here. Bruce, how do we suggest classes that we'd like to see translated from a campus class to an OMSCS class, such as CS7643 deep learning or other hot topics? How do we express suggested improvements? That's a me question. Why don't you go ahead and reach out to me? We have I'm sure you're familiar with the OMSCS email, it goes to the help desk. And for now, that's the mechanism we have as a program to receive comments of that nature. I would assume a lot of your professors give you some space at the end of the semester to also share comments with them. That's a good way to do that as well. But I would say, sending an email to our program email address or reaching out to me, and we'll find a way to make sure that your suggestions are heard. The program we actually do still have some courses in production. And so it's not, since the program is still growing and expanding, there is opportunity there for, possible classes that haven't been brought into development yet. So we love to hear feedback. So if you want to send that on over to me, that would be awesome. Anika said, were you able to get involved in any research as part of this graduate program? That's a great question.
I really wasn't. I mean, other than the research that I did in my classes, I didn't get involved in any research programs. I felt like that was partly due to the fact that I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to. Working full time and then being in the school, being in graduate school part-time can be super tough. But yeah, if you have the opportunity to do so, definitely, I'm sure Brittany knows of quite a few research programs to get involved in.
Actually, this gives me the perfect opportunity to cue our next seminar in this series is actually we're going to be talking about if you want to get your PhD potentially or continue on with research after you finish the program, what you can do during your time in the program to set you up for success in that endeavor. And we're going to be talking to a student who has gone through that experience. And so we'll delve into research opportunities and all of that good stuff in our next seminar. So Anika, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly. I think that sounds like a seminar you might be interested in participating in. And then let's see, we have a question from Gabe. Gabe says, Ebony, you are such an inspiration for all of us. And proof that completing such a rigorous program while working full time is doable. Was there a point where you felt overwhelmed? And if so, could you share how you dealt with that?
Yeah, so definitely. As I stated a little bit before, after my second semester, I was completely overwhelmed. I was like, I just felt burnt out. I felt like there was only 3 weeks or so in between the semesters. And I didn't really get much chance to have a break or travel or even just hang out with my friends or have a boring moment. It was like always something. And so I just remember, again, just thinking to the point of like, well, why am I doing this? Someone asked me, they were just like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, I don't know, and I just remember sitting down and thinking about why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I wanted to achieve after finishing up this program. And so once I nailed that down, I kept going, I just kept moving forward. And not only that, but there's some different things that I had to start doing, like from an organizational standpoint. So again, balancing my time, balancing this idea of like, okay, we are really setting aside time to study and we're really setting aside time to hang out with friends and traveling and so forth. And then some things just have to give in between. I hope that answers the question. Okay.
Nice, lovely question. We appreciate that, Gabe. Let's see. Does anybody else have anything? I don't have any other questions right now. In the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts, Ebony. I'm putting you on the spot with this one. We didn't prep this question. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Brittany, it seems like you have one more question. Are you seeing it on your end? It's from Gabe again.
I didn't see a second one from Gabe. If you can see it, go ahead.
It says, Brittany, are you planning any networking events in NYC, Philly area in the near future?
We don't currently have any planned in the next few months. But New York and DC are always two places that Georgia Tech is planning events. And so I would encourage you in the meantime, while you're waiting to see what we have in store for next year, and while we're working through all of that in our plans, I would encourage you to look at the Georgia Tech calendar and check out, any maybe alumni events, or, Georgia Tech has a policy entity based in DC and is always, putting on events in that part of the country that maybe you could participate in and attend in the meantime. But I would say, it probably is going to happen in your area at some point in the near future. So just keep your eyes peeled for that, just because we have such a large student community in that part of the country. Am I missing any other questions, Ebony? I don't know. I don't know why that one didn't show up for me.
It's just one more other question. It says, will the PhD be online, and is it affordable as the OMSCS?
So I have no information that I can provide for you right now about an online PhD program. I wish I would love that. But yeah, we don't have any info on that at the time. I'm sorry. Let's see. We have another question from Matt. What's the best way to network and communicate with you, Ebony? Yeah, how would you, if students have questions for you, want to pick your brain, what's the best way for them to do that?
Definitely. So I'd say the best thing right now is to reach out to me through LinkedIn. That's the best way. And then we can set up, if you're in Atlanta, we can set up conversations, meet over coffee if you're here, or, if I'm traveling to a city near you, we could also set up some time to grab some coffee there. But the best way definitely is reach out to me through LinkedIn. My name is spelled Ebony, Eboni, and then Bell, Bell.
Yeah, and if you're not located in the Atlanta area and you are looking to connect with maybe a program alum or students, and you feel like you've been having a hard time doing that, reach out to me. You can send me an email at B as in boy, Aiello, Aiello, at cc.gatech.edu. Biello at cc.gatech.edu. And I will do my best to connect you with somebody in your area. We have students in over 90 countries around the world now, and in most states. And so I can almost guarantee there's somebody that you can connect with if you're having a hard time with that. And I would love to help facilitate that. Let's see. We have another question from Cesar. I wonder about your hiring process at AT&T. Did you build a portfolio to show potential employers? How did you approach that? That's a great question.
So actually, when I started working at AT&T, they came to Spelman College's campus to do on-campus recruiting, and I reached out to my career development lead, and I asked her, what are some of the companies that are coming on campus, and how can I get set up with having some sort of on-campus interview. And so I interviewed for a number of companies through that process, and then that's how I came on to AT&T.
All right, it looks like we have time for just a few more questions, and we already have a couple lined up. So I'm gonna get those in just a second. The first one is from Queen. Did you have a plan on when you wanted to graduate when you started the OMSCS program? If so, how strict have you been to sticking to your plan?
Oh my goodness, yes. But plans change. I was hoping to be done with the program in a year. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to take like 3-4 classes every semester and finish up in a year. And of course that didn't work. That was completely, I signed up for my first semester, signed up for 2 classes, or no, actually it was 2 classes, the machine learning class included, and I dropped that class and stuck with 1 class for that semester. But definitely create a plan, but don't hold yourself so strict to that plan, because these classes are hard. And then if you have a family involved, and then if you also have a career, it's hard to do a lot of the stuff that you're doing. So definitely start out taking, 1 or 2 classes the first semester, and then work your way up to 3 if you can. But I even say taking 3 classes, I hear it's just way too hard. So That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and we're getting some really wonderful, kind thank you comments about how much folks have appreciated you.
Aww, that's awesome.
Doing this and sharing your experiences. You know, thank you all for participating. We love this. I think we have time for one more question. Looks like we have one from Arthur. It says, how well were you prepared for the math level coming from a minor in CS? That's a great question, and maybe I can expand that to what was difficult not being a CS major and jumping into the program?
Yes, definitely. So there were a few classes that were just really, really difficult not having that math background. And the machine learning class was definitely one of those. And so there's a lot of linear algebra there that I didn't have the background in. A lot of, discrete mathematics, I didn't have background in that. So I really had to figure out, what classes I needed to take on the side. If I needed to start YouTubing videos, I did that throughout the semester. While everyone else was finishing projects in 3 hours, it was taking me 9 hours to do so. But that's really because I didn't have that math background coming from a minor in computer science. But I definitely say that it's still feasible for you to finish a program. You just have to have that willingness to set aside even more time to devote to learning the math. So YouTube all day, and then, pick up some classes through Udacity and Treehouse and Code Academy, and you can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, we have students in the program from all sorts of different backgrounds, and the same goes for, our on-campus PhD programs, our on-campus master's programs. We have students who bring amazing experience from different fields to all the Georgia Tech computer science programs, and that is something that we really value. And so, yeah, it might be a little bit of a struggle with certain things, but hopefully we can help provide you with resources or suggestions to get you there and help you do it. Because as Ebony would probably say, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Definitely.
Let's see. Okay, so it looks like we are pretty much out of time. I don't want to, run over or anything like that. This is our first one, and we had an amazing turnout. I just want to say thank you to everyone, Ebony in particular, for taking the time to share all your wonderful insights. Yeah, stay tuned. Everyone should stay tuned for updates on upcoming seminars. We're going to keep this thing going. It's really fun and so and hopefully helpful. And we're going to keep digging into topics that we feel really apply to our community of students. And if you have any ideas for topics, things you'd like to see us address in future seminars, we would also love to hear that. Or if you'd maybe like to volunteer to potentially share your ideas or thoughts, reach out to me. We are so excited to hear from you, and we are so thankful for you showing up and giving us an hour of your evening. It's been awesome. And I think that I'm going to go ahead and sign off and say thanks. And Ebony's going on vacation, so enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. Bye, Brittany. Bye, guys. I hope to see you around.
Have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.